Virginia. I'll let Vince start off with a few opening remarks, then open it up to questions. If you have a question, please indicate in the chat that you have a question. I will call on you. Please do not use the raise your hand option on this feature. We like to keep the video clean. So I'll let you get started, Vince, with the opening remarks.
All right, thanks, Rocco, and appreciate everybody kind of making time out of their evening. I know you have to do this sometimes in your line of work, but anyways, as noted by Rocco, we've postponed the game this Saturday with Virginia to the following Saturday. This evening, after consulting with our chief medical officer, Dr. Scotty Newcomer, and Matt Summers, our head trainer, it was decided that a precautionary pause in our team activities was warranted. We had our test results we got this evening. We had a few more players test positive. All but one of them were already in quarantine related to last Friday's test results, but they, in fact, did have a few more positives. So where we stand today, we now have 10 players who have tested positive. We have 5 more in quarantine due to contact tracing. So 15 in total related to the team. But in addition, we had 5 support staff members who tested positive, and 2 more are in quarantine. So, a total of 22 made up of 15 positives and 7 in quarantine. No coaching staff. No coaching staff members are included in those figures. And while the number of players probably isn't as high as you have heard from other programs that have taken a pause, we felt it was necessary due to the fact that the support staff that tested positive, they work closely with our players in the training room and in the equipment area. So, obviously a hands-on approach in terms of working with them, and that gave us a little concern and felt like we needed to take a time out here. So we communicated with the ACC and Virginia this evening, where we are and our desire to pause. Dr. Newcomer talked to the league on our behalf, and obviously I was in communication with Carla Williams, the athletic director at Virginia. So both the league and Virginia were understanding of the situation, and I think one of the reasons that it's probably for that understanding is both Virginia and us have a bye week on November 14th. So we felt like we had an opportunity to reschedule the game very quickly the following Saturday. The game time is moved from 8 p.m. to 3:30. We'll be on ACC Network. So if there is one benefit out of this, we won't be challenged to be up against the Clemson-Notre Dame game. But nonetheless, it does provide us additional time, to really further assess any potential spread that may be happening with the virus in the program. Our plan at this point is, we told the team, we just got everybody, just made them all aware that we're taking a pause. We'll test the players again on Friday morning, as we normally would on a Friday, and then we're going to test again on Sunday morning. Traditionally, we would test on Monday within 48 hours of the game on Saturday, but we'll move it up to Sunday morning. Hopefully have those results sometime Saturday afternoon, early evening, and those results will dictate when we return to team activities. So we're certainly hopeful that the results allow us to get back quickly to practice. But if we see, a spread inside or outside the locker room, we may have to extend that period and that we plan to pause. So, it's we'll touch and go. We don't have anything definitive to date on when that is, but we're hopeful that if Friday and Sunday go well, we may be back in meetings as early as Sunday evening or back Monday. But we'll certainly consult again with Dr. Newcomer and Matt Summers, our trainer. So sorry for the late conference here tonight. As we've been working through the details, we didn't have our test results until this evening, and we frankly, and then here we are with Coach Satterfield having a radio show between 7 and 8. We weren't certainly looking to disrupt that while he had that going on. We've had the ability to update him. Coach Mendenhall also had a radio show at the same time. And I know Carla Williams wanted an opportunity to update Bronco, and so he could let his players and staff know what's going on, much like we have here. So that's kind of the quick update. I'm happy to take some questions at this point.
We'll go to Cameron from the Courier, and then Mike Barber from the Richmond Paper.
Hey, Vince. Scott on Saturday and then again on Monday said he wasn't really sure kind of how this got into the program. As you guys did your contact tracing, kind of your kind of digs through this, do you kind of have a sense of how this got into the program or kind of where this started?
We don't, but as you know, it was kind of centered around our defensive line. That's where we were hit. We were down now to three scholarship defensive linemen, and that makes matters tough as well. But I know others have played with players out at different positions. But when you get into the trenches and there's a lot of contact there between the offense and defensive linemen, that's certainly one that the league has its eye on.
Go ahead, Mike.
Right along on that same topic, I understand, it's about health and safety first, but was there much of a discussion with Coach about could you field a competitive team, and did that factor in at all?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, we just went through it last week and went out there with four scholarship defense linemen last week. And, I think we were trying to figure out, like most, how to scheme around it. Other teams in the league have had to do that. We were certainly, our coaching staff was already on that path. And then with the more positives showing up today, again, in the same area of the defense, that stressed us a bit. And I think that, there's concern for certainly the other linemen, but also I think the fact that when you get into the training room where, that's a definite concern. It's always a concern when you get outside the players to the staff. They're actually, they're handling our staff. Handling our players. And I think that caused enough concern to stop and take a look.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Tim Sullivan, then Andrea Adelson.
Yeah, Vince, you had 10 players who tested positive, 5 quarantined. How many of those were defensive players? And I guess you had a punter last week. Any offensive players, or was it almost exclusively defense?
No, we had one offense. It was pretty much defense. It's funny how that seems to happen. I think even other schools, and certainly Virginia Tech went through theirs. It just on one side of the ball.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Vince, I'm just curious what went into the decision today as opposed to maybe earlier in the week when you already had a bunch of positives that came through before the game.
Yeah, they were the results we got this evening. We tested them this morning, and that's when we got the additional positives today. So it was really that, Andrea. We doubled in the number that we were looking at really from last week, from Friday to where we are today. And I think that was the concern that, when you jump that many, and could we jump again? Dr. Newcomer, we talked about it. And, the thing is, the kids want to play. We've learned that. We've learned that with the other teams in the league too. They all want to play, and you certainly want to support that. But, you gotta make these decisions as best you can on the fly. Nobody's experts on how to dictate the numbers. We're taking shots at it, but feel like we've made a good decision today. And frankly, the bye week does avail us an opportunity probably for both teams to get a little healthier.
We'll go back to Cameron, then Ken Spencer, then Rick Bozich.
Yeah, Vince, you had mentioned you'd like to hopefully be back in meetings by Sunday. Is there a limit to where you want to see this kind of stop at, or kind of where it needs to drop at for you guys to get back in meetings, get back in team activities?
Yeah, you'd like to see no positives on Friday and Saturday. If there was a 1 or a 2, I think you want to make sure your contact tracing is good. Feel like we did a good job on the contact tracing, just based on where we were. The ones that we did try to quarantine were frankly the ones who, we're looking at some positives today. So it's the overall number sounds a lot more because we had some staff get brought into this today. So, but I think, it'll be again, we'll be looking at what the contact tracing does as much as what the positives do on Friday and Sunday.
Vince, how concerned are you that this could, obviously the game's rescheduled for November 14th, but how concerned are you that game may not happen?
Well, I think maybe the timing of, obviously I'm concerned we wouldn't have taken a pause. That's probably the one thing I would say, but we had some positive tests that occurred last week. By that time, they would be out of their quarantine, assuming they're ready to be integrated back in. They'd be ready to play. Again, numbers-wise on total roster, we need to sort it out. We'll have to sort out the scheming of, for not having everybody return. But this is as much about the potential of the spread as much as what we have in place today. And because of where it came from, we haven't really seen this in some of the other teams where it's hit the training room, where it's generally been in the players. And so it's a little bit unique that in the way we assessed it, but we feel like, again, it's the right decision. And as I told you, these players, they want to play. That's the thing about them. They're all want to get out there, and they're certainly willing to. If they need to get in a defensive stance as a lineman and they're a linebacker, they've been up for that, and we've seen other teams have to go through that as well.
We'll go to Rick and then Tim Sullivan again.
Yeah, Vince, a couple things. One, I'm sorry, I didn't know if I was muted or not.
No, you're good, Rick.
The pause in activities, does that mean the guys stay away from the facility entirely and no working out? Is that what that means? And secondly, positive tests, are any of, I don't know how much you can disclose, are people like seriously ill?
No, I would tell you we don't have that. I'll go to the second one first. That was one of the questions I asked today. Everybody has mild or less symptoms. So of course, they're obviously, we're seeing this when we have had cases, positive tests amongst all of our student athletes, that it's very mild. The symptoms dissipate in short order. The way it's occurred, and we have that again here. So it's very mild symptoms. If I don't want to say no symptoms, but certainly very mild. To your first question, they will not be in the facility working out, but they will be able to come over and we do have some meals that they'll be able to come over and pick up team meals and leave. But that's about the extent of it.
Vince, Coach Satterfield had talked about training players at different positions as a contingency. What kind of contingencies did you have to consider maybe a month ago or as the season progressed, including maybe the scheduling and having this bye week?
Yeah, well, I think that's one thing about getting started early with the ACC that, we're pleased with, is it did provide us a couple bye weeks, if we needed to reschedule games. And in this case, we really are fortunate that we do have the same bye week as Virginia. I mean, it's really unique. I know Virginia's already had to postpone one game with Virginia Tech when they had some positive tests, and they'll replay that later in December. My hope is that we get this game in next week.
Did you have other kind of what if plans that you had to make around the virus?
Relative to the players, I think that I think you were asking about being. I guess I took that question as whether they're able to play other positions. If you have a week's time, they can, players can scheme in a bit, but they're certainly not trained at those positions. And the size of players that you put on the line, you certainly don't want to put anybody in the trenches who's not physically capable to compete. So that's a difficult one as well. But the defensive line is one that there was more time and energy spent by every conference probably looking at the offensive line and having enough scholarship players there. But in the defense line, everybody always felt like in our discussions, you could put some linebackers in there. And that would be our intention going forward if these guys don't recover quick enough.
We'll take three more. Ken Taylor, John Lewis, and then Cam.
Vince, can you go through the ACC protocols, the timelines for getting these players back, whether they tested positive or just in contact tracing, and then also discuss what you do different in the facility or what happens now in the football facility as far as deep cleaning that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a regular routine on the deep cleaning that probably won't change other than the individual lockers of those players. As far as the protocols go, it's the 10 days. If you test positive, you're going to be out, the 10-day window, and you need to be symptom free as well. for a minimum of 24 hours. Quarantine is 14 days. You can't test out of quarantine, and we're not going to do that. I know there's been some discussion about testing out of quarantine. That's not the league's intention. Our medical advisor group is not for that. And so while it may be unfortunate that they may have lunch with, in their group with a lineman or be in a meeting or whatever it might be, and they get caught in contact tracing, they're out for 14 days.
Go ahead, John.
Do you have a realistic date for next week that you have to be back meeting or practicing where you'd feel safe playing the game on the 14th?
Me personally, Monday, as far as I'm joking, since I'm not playing, Monday be good for me. No, I think Coach Satterfield can probably better answer, John, as to how many days it takes to prepare. I think I don't want to answer for him, but in this day and age right now with what's going on, people are doing game planning and prepping on Zoom, on Teams calls and trying to do what they can while they're not in a facility. There's no reason, some of that couldn't go on. So I'm sure he's only been dealing with this very short window of time here, just an hour. And I'm sure he's thinking about what he can and can't do relative to getting ready.
Yeah, Vince, I guess lastly, obviously the ACC championship game is that you play Wake on the 5th and then you have a week off. I think there's a week between there. I'm not sure. But
Yes.
There's a fear. I mean, if you guys don't play Virginia, would you guys still be able to kind of move that to the bottom of the schedule, like right after that Wake game?
Well, they're already scheduled to play Virginia Tech on December 12th. That's their makeup date with Virginia Tech. So if somehow we couldn't play on the 14th, it would be moved. Likely, I would say the league would likely move us to the date of unfortunately, the ACC championship game. If neither of us were qualified for that. Certainly at 2-5, I don't foresee us in that, and Virginia would have to make a good run here. So, but if it meant something at the time, whether it was bowl implications or records or whatever, the teams wanted to play each other, that option would be available.
All right. Thanks, Vince, for joining us. Thanks for the media for being on here tonight. Appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, John, Lewis, that's a really good question. And